Hey, Eski with GameJib, here again for our Spring 2024 season. We'll be covering some more advanced concepts this time around, so today we'll be starting with what is called panning, or making sure to see every part of your surroundings before a fight. Have you ever been minding your own business, and a tracer seems to just appear and drop you before disappearing again? Or a run that seems to just pin from the void and somehow get you?
Toasted!
With this simple routine, we'll be able to always know where the enemies are, as well as where our team is. So without further distraction, let's get right into the warm-up. In order to warm up our awareness, we need to be actively engaged in our surroundings. In this warm-up, load up a deathmatch game, whether that's an arcade or if it's in the in-game browser. Use this time to get used to finding players who may be flanking you. Play about 2 games of deathmatch before going into our drills. Panning is the skill of being able to look around the map even during fights. Pros do this in order to have 100% of the info available to them. If you stop and look at an Overwatch League level player, in pre-fights and in the middle of fighting, they are always looking around and anticipating what will happen next. Granted, we are just getting introduced to this skill, I think it's very important to explain how necessary it is in order to win most fights. To start, we'll begin by playing 2 quick play games. One where you play as you normally do, and then another with focusing on looking around at anywhere where you think an enemy might be. This means after fights, the beginning of fights, and at the end of the fight. This next exercise is primarily for tank and DPS players, but is also very important for supports to understand as well. I'm going to drop the hottest take you've ever heard. Supports are not supposed to chase you around the map to heal.
I require healing.
So soon, Genji?
I require...
With that being said, it is useful to know where your supports are, so you'll be able to be in a place where they can see you. This will also help support players. If you let your team know where you're wanting to play, they should play around you. Anyone that you can't see should come back to where you can in order to get healed. Otherwise, don't give up your position unless you absolutely have to. For these next 5 quick play games, or 1 to 2 ranked games, look for where your supports are standing and keep in mind that if you're in trouble, to come back to get healed. For support players, play the same amount of games and be sure to tell your team where you're going to be, so they can make your job a lot easier. Some of you might be mic shy, and that's understandable. A simple ping of where you're watching does just as well. If you have watched me before, you will remember when we talked about how to attack and defend lanes. If you haven't, I definitely suggest giving them a look so you can know the concept even better. It can be very easy to fall into the trap of looking where everyone else is. And as we recall, this is where lanes are most powerful. The best thing to do as these fights are ending is to keep in mind where your lanes are and check them as often as it is safe to. Just seeing someone on a flank makes the attempt way harder since we are aware of them. For the next 5 quick play games or 1 to 2 ranked games, if you have downtime, you should be looking towards those lanes to check if there's anyone there. When all these pieces come together, you'll begin to notice where you can make plays. As a DPS, you can notice a flank that no one is on, and if it's useful to you, you can take it. If you're a tank and you notice that there's no one firing or standing in a specific direction, you can use that opportunity to gain space for your team. As a support, you can use the info you gather to not only know when the enemy will jump you, but also decide whether moving to a better spot just completely denies the flank. For our final drill, we'll be doing this for 10 quick play games or 3 to 4 ranked games. If you notice any opportunity where someone might be or where you want to be, make sure to call or ping the enemy your place. With this info, decide your next steps of play as we discussed earlier. When it comes to Overwatch, there is never truly a down moment, and we must be aware of the plays that might be happening around us. We learned that panning is one of the strongest tools in any player's arsenal, and can make the other team's next attack way harder to pull off, since there'll be no one to flank you. This also means that support players are able to tell their teammates where they see enemies, as well as tank or DPS players knowing where to fall back if they need healed. With that, we've reached the end of this workout. Once again, this is Eski with Game Jam. If you want to VOD review or talk Overwatch, feel free to contact me in the Game Jam Discord. I hope to see you in the next video.